Most men return home from a long trip expecting dinner on the table, a warm embrace, maybe a smile. But when Ethan Cole, one of the youngest self-made billionaires in the country, landed back on home soil after 6 long months abroad, what he found in that hotel corridor would shake him to his core. And what came after? Nobody saw it coming. Stay with me, because this story has a twist that will completely change how you see loyalty, sacrifice, and love. Ethan Cole was 34 years old when this happened. He didn't inherit his wealth. He built it: late nights, failed startups, years of sleeping on the floor of a shared office in a city that didn't know his name yet. By 30, he had offices in Dubai, London, New York. A portfolio worth hundreds of millions. A face that had appeared on 3 business magazine covers. But if you asked Ethan what he was most proud of, he'd tell you about Lena. Lena Hart was not the kind of woman who sought the spotlight. She was warm, quietly intelligent, deeply private. The kind of person who remembered everyone's birthday but never asked you to remember hers. They met at a charity gala 3 years before this story takes place. Ethan, used to people wanting something from him, was immediately disarmed by someone who seemed to want nothing at all. They dated for 2 years. He proposed on a Tuesday, no grand gesture, no audience. Just the two of them, a kitchen, and a ring he'd been carrying in his coat pocket for 3 weeks because he couldn't find the right moment. She said yes before he finished the sentence. 12 months later, Ethan received a call that would send him abroad for what was supposed to be 6 months. She waved him off with a smile. But Lena Hart had a secret she'd been carrying, one that Ethan had absolutely no idea about. The deal closed earlier than expected. Ethan Cole boarded a flight home 48 hours ahead of schedule, already planning the surprise. He'd bring flowers. Maybe her favorite dinner. He'd knock on the door and just be there. She didn't answer. He told himself she was probably asleep, or in the bath, or at her sister's place. He checked into a hotel near her apartment, the Grand Meridian, a 5-star property he'd stayed in dozens of times, to freshen up before heading over. He stepped out onto the 14th floor and walked the corridor. Something about the posture. The way she held her head. The curve of her shoulders. He stopped. It was Lena. Standing in front of the man she was supposed to marry. In a hotel cleaning uniform. Holding a mop. Neither of them said a word for what witnesses later described as a very long time. Now, in the days and weeks that followed, people who knew both of them would offer very different explanations for what they were seeing. Some said it made no sense. Lena had access to Ethan's accounts. She had money. She had resources. There was absolutely no logical reason for her to be here, doing this. Others, those who knew Lena a little better, said the moment they heard the story, something clicked. Was she hiding something? Had she lost everything while he was gone? Or was there a far darker reason she was standing in that hallway? But here's the thing. It wasn't the uniform that broke Ethan Cole. It wasn't the mop. Or the rubber gloves. Or the cleaning cart beside her. It was what she said next. 4 words. I did it for you. In the hours after finding Lena, Ethan's mind went to work. He started replaying everything. Every call. Every message. Every moment from the past 6 months that, in hindsight, looked different now. Lena's calls getting shorter. I'm fine, just tired. She stopped posting on social media. Her last post, 4.5 months ago. He'd invited her to fly out to Dubai for a week. She said, I can't, I'm busy. He didn't push. She'd told him a pipe burst in the apartment. He offered to sort it immediately. She said, it's handled. It was all there. In plain sight. And he'd missed every single one of them. A mutual friend would later say on record, "She told me things were tight. That she was sorting something out. But she made me promise not to say anything to Ethan. I thought she meant some family drama. I had no idea how serious it actually was." Now here's where the story gets complicated. Because Ethan didn't know what to think, and frankly, neither did anyone else. Let me walk you through the 3 theories that started circulating among people close to them. Theory 1, the one that spread the fastest, was that Lena had developed a secret gambling addiction in the months Ethan was away. That she'd quietly burned through her savings, too ashamed to ask for help, too proud to admit it to the man who loved her. It would explain the silence. The secrecy. The sudden drop in her standard of living. But there was a problem with that theory. Lena Hart didn't gamble. Never had. People who'd known her for 15 years couldn't recall her even buying a lottery ticket. Theory 2 came from Ethan's side of things. His assistant raised the possibility that Lena had been paying off a family debt. Something old, something Ethan didn't know about, something she was too embarrassed to bring to him. It was plausible. But Lena hadn't contacted a single family member in those 6 months. Not once. Checked. And then there was theory 3. The one that nobody wanted to say out loud. That Lena wasn't down on her luck at all. That she was here, in this hotel, deliberately. Under a different name. Watching someone. Waiting for something. Ethan dismissed it immediately. But his assistant didn't. And 3 days later, she found something on Ethan's company server that made her pick up the phone and call him in the middle of the night. "Ethan," she said. "You need to come to the office. Right now." Lena told him everything. 6 months ago, just days after Ethan boarded that flight, she received a call. The call came from someone inside Ethan's organization. Someone who had been watching, and waiting, and growing more desperate by the day. His name was Marcus Webb. Ethan's business partner of 7 years. The man Ethan trusted above almost anyone else. What Marcus had been doing, quietly, methodically, for the better part of 2 years, was stealing. Not small amounts. Millions. Siphoned from company accounts through a network of shell transactions so carefully constructed that even the auditors had missed it. But that wasn't the worst part. Marcus had also been building a paper trail. Forged documents. Falsified signatures. Emails constructed to look like they came from Ethan's account. If it ever came to light, and Marcus had made sure it eventually would, every single piece of evidence pointed directly at Ethan Cole. Not Marcus. Ethan. When Lena found out what was happening, through a source she has never publicly named, she made a decision in the space of about 30 seconds. She froze every personal account linked to Ethan's name. If investigators came looking, there would be no suspicious transactions on her end. Nothing to tie him to any movement of money. She gave up the penthouse. Moved into her sister's spare room. Took a cash job, the hotel cleaning role, under a different name. Because Marcus Webb, it turned out, was a long-term guest at the Grand Meridian. For 6 months, Lena worked 2 floors below the man who was trying to destroy the person she loved. She recorded conversations. She photographed documents left in the hotel business suite. She cultivated a relationship with a member of his personal staff. And piece by piece, she built a case. Inside that folder was everything. Bank records. Recordings. Sworn statements. Emails, the real ones, and the forgeries, side by side. Every single thing a prosecutor would need. She looked at him and simply said, "I couldn't let them take what you built." Marcus Webb was convicted on 14 counts of fraud and financial misconduct. Ethan Cole was never charged. The forged documents were exposed within days of prosecutors receiving Lena's file. Ethan's company not only survived, it came back stronger. The public sympathy alone drove a surge in investor confidence that Marcus could never have predicted. Justice, in this case, was unambiguous. Or so everyone thought. 2 weeks after the conviction, in the quiet that follows a storm, Lena Hart did something no one expected. She returned the engagement ring. With a note that said, "I need you to choose me, not because I saved you, but because you love me even when I can't." Because here is what nobody had asked, not the journalists, not the commentators, not the people flooding social media with opinions about this story. What does it cost a person to disappear for someone they love? To quietly give up comfort, dignity, the life they'd built, and do it in complete silence? Lena didn't want to be rescued. She didn't want to be praised. She didn't want Ethan's gratitude. She wanted to know, when the story was over and the headlines had moved on, that what was between them was still real. Ethan's response to that note has never been made public. What happened next between them, only they know. But I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it. If the person you loved gave up everything to protect you, in complete silence, asking for nothing in return, would that be the greatest act of love you've ever witnessed? Or would it be the loneliest thing in the world? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I genuinely want to know what you think. Would you have done what Lena did? Suffered in silence, given everything up, to protect someone you loved? Without telling them? Or would you have picked up the phone and told the truth from day one? There's no wrong answer. But I promise you, the comments on this one are going to be worth reading. And here's the thing this story left me thinking about: Ethan Cole had more resources than most people will see in a lifetime. And it still almost wasn't enough, because of one person he trusted completely. So who in your life are you trusting, that maybe you shouldn't be? If this story hit you the way it hit me, make sure you're subscribed, because next week we are going somewhere even darker. A CEO who came home to find his entire family had vanished. No note. No phone call. No trace. Just a house full of everything they owned, and nobody inside it. You will not want to miss that one. Like this video if you stayed till the end. Subscribe for more stories that make you question everything you think you know about the people closest to you. And I'll see you in the next one.